Hey guys, alright, today we are back with another miscellaneous myth. So this time Zahak. Zahak? I don't know how to pronounce that. The Serpent King. Zahak? Zahak. Zachary the Serpent King. Um, by Overly Sarcastic Productions. I've never heard of this guy before, so we're gonna be learning today. Yeah, I've got nothing more to say here at the beginning, so let's just go ahead and dive right in.
In real life, snakes are honestly fine. Little slithery,
No. Snakes are terrifying.
kind of hard to
They
read,
could
but
choke you
probably
out.
inoffensive. But there's something about him that just tickles the imagination, you know? You can't walk 5 feet these days without tripping over a mythological snake with crazy anomalous properties. Maybe
What? Oh yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. That's just like my Wednesday afternoons.
they're the feathery forefather of humanity, or a many-colored harbinger of rain, or an eldritch abomination aiming to devour the sun, or any number of other slithery boys wending their coils through human mytho-history. Something about their sleek design just speaks to us, you know? But while mythical snakes span
I think because they kind of resemble a lot like dragons, a little bit. Just wingless dragons.
the whole moral
And
spectrum,
we like dragons. People love. There's a reason dragons are so popular across like the fucking world. You know, you've got Asian dragons, Japanese dragons, Chinese dragons, Japanese dragons. Southeast Asia has dragons. India, I think, has dragons. Europe has dragons. I don't know if Africa has dragons, actually. Africa and the pre-colonial Americas, I don't think have dragons. I haven't heard. Anyways,
if there's one title that just screams evil, it's Serpent King. Nobody good has ever held the title Serpent King. And
how do you know? Actually, she's probably
if you
right.
want proof, let's go back about 1,000 years to the opening chapter of the famous
Persian
Persian
kings?
epic The
Yes,
Shahnameh.
please.
Written by the poet Ferdowsi between 977 and 1010 CE, the Shahnameh, literally the
During the latter end of the Islamic Golden Age.
Epic of Kings, is the national epic of Greater Iran and a very, very important piece of literature. It's also long as balls, but conveniently subdivides into a lot of smaller stories for easier consumption. Here's one of them. So
It's honestly surprising how many old texts, especially from that time period, like the 700s to 1000s, when they're translated, how easily they are still able to be read. Like how well, I've found it honestly sometimes easier to read texts that are that old compared to texts from like the 1700s and 1800s, where English is more closely related to the modern day English.
the story begins with a quick rundown of some ancient mythical kings and all the cool stuff they did. Mostly important civilization things like inventing clothes and fire.
Hold
and
on, what's the
irrigation,
names of these people? Kayumars, first king, lawful and just, clad as people in tiger skins and ice. Hushang, discovered, fire starting, ironworking and irrigation, mad lad. Maris, bound demons with magic who taught him writing, invented weaving. Nice, poet.
Stuff like that. This line of kings does
Oh god, Jamshid. Oh, that's all. I can't read it all. Divided up the year into a calendar, divided society and social classes, built Persepolis with the help of imprisoned demons, slave labor, created a 7th century era of prosperity and world peace, invented armor/weaponsmithing, mining, stone houses, perfumes, and dyes. One time she punched me in the face. It was awesome. What?
pretty well for itself until it produces Yamshid, who does really well for himself. So well, in fact, that he decides he's basically God and starts having people worship him. This is generally considered to be unwise and has some unintended consequences. See, in Zoroastrianism, to put it very simply, the Earth is basically a constant battleground between the forces of good and evil. Specifically, it's a proxy war between the beings Ahura Mazda, creator deity and ultimate good guy, and Angramanyu, later called Ahriman, the source of all evil and creator of various evil spirits called Devas. Not to be confused with the Devas in Hinduism, very different concept. In this model, it's the duty of humanity to do good.
Zoroastrianism hot take. Good things good, bad things bad. No way. I gotta like the simplicity.
And bring happiness, because it bolsters the forces of good and helps in the cosmic battle against Ahriman. In contrast, doing bad stuff tips the scales the other way and empowers Ahriman to do more bad stuff. Now, by the time the Shahnameh was written at the turn of the 11th century,
it's amazing that Zoroastrianism still exists. Like, I think it's one of the I think it's the biggest polytheistic religion still around, because a significant amount of people still practice it. I don't know how many, and that statistic that I'm thinking of is really old now.
The dominant religion in Persia was Islam, which had locally overtaken Zoroastrianism a few centuries earlier. So the poet Ferdowsi was writing from an interesting position. The ancestral Iranian religion of Zoroastrianism was no longer widely practiced, and some of that culture was in danger of being erased. So similar to how the prose Edda frames the Norse gods as something old and distant, the Shahnameh is framed mythologically while still actively preserving these ancient and culturally significant stories. But anyway, long story short, Yamshid does a big no-no and in the process tips the local cosmic balance towards evil.
Oh no.
Ahriman gets a nice little power boost and starts sniffing around to cause some mischief. So he zips out into the desert to the kingdom of Thasus, ruled by the wise and just King Myrtas. Now Myrtas has a beloved son.
Hey kid, do you like power? I fucking love power.
Zahak, and Ahriman rolls up to the palace disguised as a nobleman and tells Zahak that he should enter a covenant with him, and if he does, he'll raise his head above the sun. Now Zahak is a nice boy.
Prince of Thasus, innocent, guileless, other nice euphemisms for dumb.
Maybe a little bit gullible, so he thinks, Willikers, mister, that sounds pretty nifty. And agrees.
Yeah.
Step 1, kill your dad.
Oh! That escalated quickly. And I see we're continuing the trend of straight up murder in these miscellaneous myths. Good.
He doesn't really want to do that, but a deal's a deal, so he and Ahriman
You just went and did it? What the fuck?
set a trap for Myrtas and kill him. Now Zahak is the king of Thasus. Nice. Ahriman teaches him some nifty magic and encourages him to be
But if I subjugate the people, they might not like me.
evil, but Zahak's not all bad. He's not a great king, but, you know, he's trying his best. So Ahriman changes tactics and zips around the back to change out his Groucho glasses and enters the palace in a different disguise, this time as a young man who offers to be a cook. Zahak doesn't see the harm in it and agrees, and Ahriman wastes no time in whipping up a meal fit for a king. Specifically, he changes the formerly vegetarian menu to include meat, and Zahak is so impressed by this dietary shift that he has the cook summoned before him so he can grant him a boon, and Ahriman asks only that he be allowed to kiss the king's shoulders. Well, we don't kink shame in this palace. Zahak agrees.
I fucking love you, Red.
And he probably shouldn't have, because after the deed is done, Ahriman is swallowed up by the earth and 2 venomous snakes sprout from Zahak's shoulder.
Huh? I feel like we skipped a few steps. The man just kissed his shoulders. And now there are snakes there? I mean, just completely ignoring the whole thing that, the whole fact that he can shapeshift. And now there are snakes in his shoulder. Okay. Okay.
Fun times. Well, Zahak obviously wants these snake shoulders out of his life,
Yeah.
but they can't find any way to get rid of them. Enter Ahriman
Snake shoulders, huh? Gonna need some human brains for that. What?
version 3, this time disguised as a learned scholar, who tells Zahak that the only way to tame a case of the old snake shoulders is to feed those bad boys human brains. Now, obviously, having a king with snake shoulders who eats human brains is not so good for the kingdom.
No,
Word begins
no,
to
it's
spread
not.
about this absolutely terrifying snake king, which is actually good news.
All will love me and despair. Is that supposed to be Loki? No. It looks like they're drawing of Loki. Kinda, to me. A little bit. Not really. The more I look at it, never mind.
News for the people back in Persia who've been dealing with their own evil king for a good few centuries now. Rebel forces congregate in Thasus and declare Zahak the new Shah, and an army musters to march against Yamshid, who sees the writing on the wall and books it. He manages to evade capture for a good 100 years or so before they eventually catch him and saw him in
How did he live for so long?
half. Tough break, buddy. So now Zahak
Thanks, gang. Couldn't have done it without you. Now give me your brains. Go ahead, put them. Give me the brains. Give them right here. Give them to me for my snake friends.
the Serpent King, or as I've taken to calling him, Johnny Snake Shoulders, is the Shah of Persia, which is great if the goal is making the world an exponentially shittier place to live. Eventually, things get so bad that Ahura Mazda sits up and takes notice and sets a plan in motion to get things back on track. Yamshid's got a few surviving descendants rattling around, and thanks to a little divine intervention, one of them has a son named Faradun. Not so coincidentally, that night Zahak has a terrible nightmare where a young man kills him with a mace shaped like a cow's head. He wakes up and demands an explanation
It's a known occupational hazard for kings, my lord, my liege.
from his
Yeah,
advisors,
true.
who
It is.
reluctantly inform him that it sounds like there's a prophecy that he's going to be overthrown and destroyed by a man named Faradun. Well, you know how these evil king types get about prophecies. Zahak
Yeah.
immediately starts scouring the land for
Very much chosen one tropey kind of thing. But, you know, this story's so old, it's not so much of a trope.
Faradun. Faradun's mother catches wind of this and hides
Keep
him in
an
the
eye
forest,
on this
where
for
he's
me,
raised
will
by
you?
a magic cow called Permaya. Unfortunately, after a few years, the forest isn't safe anymore, so she comes back to collect him and heads off to an isolated mountain peak where a hermit can take care of him instead. And just in time, too, since Zahak finds the forest, learns that Faradun
Do not touch the cow. Do not touch that cow.
is gone, and gets so angry that he kills Permaya and
No.
everything else in the forest, turning it into a barren desert. Zahak continues
Not the cow. Alright, you know what? I'm on the good guy's side. Screw you, Zahak.
Used to strengthen his army and search for Faradun.
You guys would tell me if I was a bad person, right? Fuck you, Zahak. Killed an innocent cow.
But that doesn't do his confidence any favors, and he starts to worry that he might be a bad king. No. What?
No way.
No. So naturally, he demands his citizens
Your feedback is very valuable. So be honest and tell me how amazing I am.
assure him that he's actually a good king doing a really good job. Obviously, they do what he says because snake shoulders, but dissent is beginning to spread. This comes to a head one day when a blacksmith named Kava marches straight into the palace and demands an audience. Kava's had 17 sons.
Your snake shoulders killed 16 of my children, you 16? Yeah. How does he have time for anything else?
Sons, see, but 16 of them have been sacrificed to the king's snake shoulder situation, and now his last son has been chosen to die too. He demands that Zahak spare his last son, and Zahak actually agrees. Then he asks Kava if he'll sign.
Well, I can absolutely spare your last remaining kid. Would you mind signing this attesting how kind and generous I am? Zahak is a certified good king. Yeah, sure.
Find this official paperwork stating that Zahak is a good king, actually, to which Kava responds by ripping the paperwork into confetti and striding out of the palace while everyone is too stunned to stop him. He heads straight for the city square, tears off his blacksmith apron, uses it as a banner to rally the people in rebellion, and leads an army out of the city to go find the prophesied hero who will deliver them from the Serpent King.
Absolute fucking mad lad.
Give me this movie, Hollywood, you cowards! Meanwhile, Faradun.
Can I please liberate my kingdom from the usurper king today? Now, son, what if I told you about messing with prophecies? Just don't.
Is grown into a responsible and wise young man, returned home to his mother and learned of his royal lineage and his destiny to destroy the Serpent King. He's ready to fulfill his destiny and is frankly getting kind of impatient waiting, because he wants to kill the evil king now, but his mom says it's not safe to go alone, so he's gonna have to wait. This is around the time the massive army.
Excuse me, any chosen ones in here? See? No need to rush, they're right here.
Army of rebels rolls up on the front lawn to ask if Faradun can come out and play. Now that they've got the manpower and the prophecy on their side, Faradun gears up in some kingly armor and has the rebels forge him a mace. And in honor of his old nursemaid, the business end of the mace is shaped like a cow head. Oh yeah, it's all coming together. So they march to the city, finding it actually mostly undefended, since coincidentally, Zahak is out with his army looking for Faradun. The people rally behind them and they invade.
Who's got 2 thumbs and no interest in eating any brains? This guy.
The palace, defeating the Devas Zahak left to guard the place and setting Faradun on the throne as the new Shah. Now Zahak is none too pleased about this when he returns. He and his army besiege the city and there's a very dramatic battle, which our heroes win. Faradun wrecks Zahak with his mace and is just about to kill him when he's stopped by Sraosha, a servant of Ahura Mazda, who tells him to imprison Zahak on Mount Damavand instead. Faradun follows his advice and binds Zahak under the mountain for all time. And so, thanks to a prophesied true king, a charismatic rebel leader, and a battle scene so ridiculous I literally cannot believe they haven't made this trope goldmine a movie yet, so ends the tumultuous tale of Johnny Snakeshoulders.
Johnny Snakeshoulders. This myth has everything: fallen heroes, evil emperors, prophesied chosen ones, hot-headed rebel leaders, and a single female character who's never canonically named. Seriously, Hollywood, this is everything you love. Shout out to that one king who forced a bunch of demons to teach him how to write. You're the real MVP. Fucking yeah.
Right between the eyes.
Teach those demons how to teach people to write. Anyways, this was a very good video. It was only about 7 minutes, but perfectly length. I don't think she needed to really expand more on it. So yeah, that was Miscellaneous Myths, Zahak, the Serpent King. I hope you guys enjoyed. Remember to hit that like button and subscribe for more, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.